Well, hello and welcome to Kuden Knife You Don't Need, a division of Wood and What You Don't Need, and today we're going to have a look at probably my cheapest non-East Asian made knife. This is a knife that I bought a long time ago, 15 years for sure, maybe more than 15 years ago, in the city of Spain called Lugo. It's a city in the region of Galicia, which is in the northwest on the Atlantic coast, close to Portugal. And in fact, this is a Portuguese-made knife. So a European knife, which cost me, well, I'll tell you the price in just a few seconds or minutes. As you can see, I've used this knife quite a bit. I've had it in my pocket for quite a while, back then, 15 odd years ago. And I must have done some work involving paint or varnish with it, so you can see all the marks here. The handle has had a rough time, as you can see. I don't know what kind of glue or other sticky material this is, and the varnish that was on the handle has vanished and scratched quite a bit. This is a non-locking knife, as you can see. There's no locking mechanism. With a wooden handle. I don't know what kind of wood this is. It has a simple ribbon or a ring of metal here, and there's a pin holding the blade in place, and the blade is a stainless steel blade, and the kind of steel is 420. So quite a simple steel for a simple blade, and yet a European made blade which cost me very little. I cannot remember how much I paid it, but I will tell you in a second how much these go for these days. So about 15 or 20 years after I bought this particular model. I bought this in the city of Lugo, as I told you, and I bought this on the street, not in a shop, in a brick and mortar shop. These were being sold by a man, by a blind man who had a small table or a small desk on the side of the street, and I hope you're not offended by my use of the word blind man. I think that the word blind carries an aura of wisdom that the visually impaired definition fails to transmit. This man with whom I had a conversation, he taught me how to make the opening and closing mechanism tighter or looser. He had some tools with him, and I told him, could you make it tighter? ¿Quieres que apriete más? He told me, do you want it to be a bit tighter? Yes, and he grabbed, I don't know if he had pliers and a hammer, and without being able to see, he did these adjustments for me. So now it's time for me to tell you that this is actually a Portuguese-made knife. In fact, these knives are made in the village of, I cannot pronounce things in Portuguese, but I guess this is something like Palazuelo or Palazuelo, something like that. It's a small village that has this industry, probably family-owned industry for knife making. And I will put links in the description below where you will be able to see that these knives these days on the internet side of the Martins brand, these go for €3.23 if I'm not mistaken, which is less than $4. It's amazing to see that a knife, albeit being a very simple knife, but still a European made knife with, well, 420 steel, which is not that bad, go for such a low price. The blade length, I think it's 6 centimeters and a half. You have 2 inches and a half. Let's grab a trusty IKEA ruler in centimeters. The whole length of the knife is 18 centimeters, almost to the mill, which in inches translates to 7 inches point 1, and the blade length in inches is 3.2, yes, which in centimeters is 8.4, a bit less than 8.5 centimeters. The weight of this one is incredibly low. Let's have a look. It's 31 grams. So let's take an Opinel. This Opinel number 8 has a walnut handle, so maybe the walnut wood is a bit heavier than the regular wood for Opinel handles, but this is 49 grams, so a bit heavier than the Martins knife. And also we can do a bit of a comparison between the two. The Opinel is a bit longer, so a longer handle and a slightly longer blade. But blade length is almost the same, only that the geometry on this blade is different. This has a kind of a drop point blade, or how do you call it? I will leave the description that is on the internet side of Martins. And I don't know, it's amazing to see that a knife that I paid so little has served me in so many occasions during many years. I find this very affordable little knife fascinating. This is the only Portuguese knife that I own. I have Brazilian knives, Brazilian kitchen knives. The brand is Tramontina, if I remember correctly, but this is the only Portuguese knife that I own. And you know, the memory of when I bought it and of the person I bought it from has stayed for me during this past 15-20 years. Nice little knife that carries nice memories. And with this bus stop philosophy reflections, this video ends, and I will see you on the next of Kudden Knife You Don't Need, a division of Wooden, what you don't need. Ciao!